Hello guys, welcome to week 4. This is Charlene Cheng. In this week, we're gonna learn some advanced SQLs. You must be very familiar with SQL, that is a structured query language. For the language, it must have the keywords and syntax. The keywords, for example, there are select, distinct, from, where, order by, and joins. And this is a very quick example for the SQL. You can select distinct or not, column name 1, column name 2, and so on. From table 1, join table 2, where the where condition like column name 1 equals to example. So today let's learn some more SQLs. Create database. Create database, you can think of it as the keyword as a whole. Create database and then followed by the database name you want to create it. After you create the database, you can search your object explorer. You will find the database you just created here. Drop database. So again, drop database, you can think of it as the keyword as well. Drop database means you want to delete the database from your SQL server. And again, after you delete the database, you can search the object explorer. The database which you just dropped gonna be disappeared. Create tables. Previously, the tables you are using must be created before you take a look at it. However, here we're gonna learn how to create the table by using this SQL. Create table, a keyword, and then the database name, specify which database you want to create the table in, and then schema name, table name. If you use the database ahead of the create table SQL, you can just remove the database name here. So inside the parentheses after the table name, those are the columns you want to create. Like the first column name, you can name it whatever you want. Data type, remember we have a lot of different data types, and you can set this column to be the primary key or not. And then another column, make sure you have the data type, and then you can set whether you want it to be noun or it doesn't matter. Like for the column 2, just specify the data type without any constraints over here. So you can create as many columns as you want over here. And again, after you execute this create table query, and when you look at your object explorer, you will find the table is show up over there. This is the example for how to create the table along with the check constraint. Check constraint is used to limit the value range that can be placed in the column. So here, create table, the table name is person, and the first column is ID, that is integer, and I don't want it to be known. Then last name, that is virtual, with the length 255, and I don't want it to be known as well. For the first name, I just define the data type, but I don't care whether it is known or not. So here, for the age, the data type for the age is int, that is same for the ID. And over here, I have a check constraint. In the check constraint, I set the age larger or equal to 18. That means for the information that I want to insert it in the column age should be equal or larger than 18. For example, if I want to insert an age that is 17, then the SQL Server won't allow that. After you create the table is empty. It just have all the empty column without any rows inside of it. So here we need to insert into some information into the table. Insert into. So insert into the table name, you can specify which table you want to insert information in. Then in the parentheses after the table name, you identify which column you want to insert information in. So column 1, column 2, column 3, and so on. You can add as many as you want. And then values. Look at the values inside of the parentheses. Those values should be corresponding to the columns. Like the value 1 is for the column 1. The value 2 is for the column 2. Value 3 is for the column 3. So the order the order here makes some difference. This is the example for insert. Insert into persons. The persons is the table we just created. Look at here, we didn't identify which columns we want to add information in. So that is by default means I want to insert the information for every column. And in the values, the information corresponding to the column what I created here. So the first value for the insert is the ID value, and the second is the last name, third is the first name, and the fourth is the age. Look at all those 3 lines. I have information for the ID and information for the last name. The first name has the varchar data type, and all the age are larger than 18. So if I modify the third insert row to be 2, Cheng, Charlene, and 17, then the third row shouldn't be added into the database because you set the age should be larger than 18. Okay, delete. Delete from table name where condition. That means I want to delete some specific information from that table. So this is the example, delete from persons. Persons is the name we just create, the table we just created. Where first name equals to Cheng, or where ID equals to 1, or first name equals to Charlene and age equals to 17. Again, the where gonna be the same as the select. The where is the same as we use the select. The where condition is totally the same as we use in the select class. The where identify which rows you want to delete from your database. Update. Sometimes I want to change or update some information which has already been in the table, so I need to use the update. Update table name, set column 1 equals to value 1 or column 2 equals to value 2. Where condition. Again, the where condition is the same as previous. Example, update persons set age equals to person's age plus 1, where first name equals to Charlene. That means for all the rows with first name equals to Charlene, the age should be increased by 1. Truncate. Truncate will remove all rows from a table. You can truncate a table and a table name. After you use the truncate, you can search the Object Explorer. You can still see the table is there. However, when you use the drop tables, the table won't be there any longer. Store procedure. A store procedure is a prepared SQL code that you can save, so the code can be reused over and over again. The syntax is create procedure and your procedure name as SQL statement. you should replace the SQL statement here and go. After you define your own procedure, you can just execute the procedure over and over again. And you can also create a store procedure with a parameter. Just add the add and parameter name after the store procedure. And when you try to call the store procedure, you have to pass this parameter's value. Example. I want to create a store procedure. The name is select all customers with one parameter and identify the data type for the parameter. Currently, the parameter city is empty. You can think of it as the placeholder or an empty box. And inside of the edge, I identify select star from customers where city equals to add city. I don't know what the city is. However, I just want to select everything from the customer, whatever the user passed in. And when I try to execute the select all customers, I have to identify the value for the parameter city. So currently, I push London into the city, and the London gonna be through over here. And when I execute this store procedure, the SQL gonna look like select star from customers where city equals to London. I can change the London to anything I want, but I just want to parse it inside into the SQL over here.